You're listening to Pole Parlour, a fun, inspiring podcast for all those bewitched by pole dance. Each week, your Madam Crimson Minxxx has candid conversation with unique, engaging individuals from within and around the pole dance community. Pole Parlour is passionate about preaching creativity, soulful sensuality, and empowerment through pole dance.
You know how we do.
Welcome everyone to Pole Parlour. This is episode 27, Lauren Lukrich of Kiska. I'm your host, Crimson Minxxx. On this episode, we have Lauren Lukrich. Lauren is the co-owner of Kiska, a Russian exotic fit style pole studio in Portland, Oregon. On this episode, we talk about her unique style of running a pole studio, which includes 24-hour access, openly catering to those working in the sex industry, and happily recommending other studios for students looking for a different experience. Also, what it's like owning Kiska, a word that means pussy in Russian, in a city known for extreme sexual positivity and freedom. And how she's actually seen an influx in hetero men interested in the exotic style training of her studio. Check out Lauren's post-podcast interview on the blog at poleparlour.com, where she shares her favorite photos, music, video, and more. And if you've been enjoying the podcast, I would be absolutely tickled if you leave a review on iTunes and follow the YouTube channel. And don't forget to look for Pole Parlour on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, and Pinterest as well. All right, shameless plugs over. Now let's bring on Lauren.
Hold up, wait, what the fuck? Am I really dreaming? Oh no, fuck, I'm fucking.
Welcome, Lauren Lukrich, to the Pole Parlour podcast. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you very much, Crimson Minxxx. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, so excited to have you. So let's jump right in. The first question we ask everyone. For how long have you been poling, and how did you first discover pole dance?
So I have been pole dancing for about 3 years. I first discovered pole dancing because I grew up watching the movie Gypsy Rose Lee. I was obsessed with it. My mom introduced me to it. She was obsessed with it as a child. And little did I know that once I watched that movie, after watching Gypsy Rose and the You've Got to Get a Gimmick dance, where the 3 strippers come out showing off their stripper wear and their costumes and their lights and everything, I knew I wanted to be a stripper or a burlesque dancer or a performer of some sort. So honestly, growing up, I was a dancer, and at the end of the day, moving to Portland, we have so many strip clubs up here. So I was like just totally thrown into the strip club like reality, because everyone goes to strip clubs, you know, boys, girls, gay, straight, like bros go to them for, you know, just like sports bars and stuff. So I was thrown into there, and the minute I saw the girls stripping and the girls dancing and the power and the grace and the beauty and the fact that actually up here in Portland people put on a show when they're stripping, it's not just strip club, I realized that that was something I really wanted to get into. So it was after I kind of gave up some of my other dance forms that then I kind of discovered the pole studios up here and started dancing at a studio in town, pretty much the only studio in town at that time. And
what year was this about?
This was, let's see, it's 2016 right now, so probably like 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, so like it was in January. I had just gotten my appendix out, and I had like just opened my hair salon, and I just decided like I need something new to get in shape and work out. And I told one of my girls at the salon, like, I want to go take a pole class. I'm doing it. I've wanted to do it for a while. So I went, took class. I fell in love. A month later, I had a pole in my house, and I never stopped. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, first, I love Gypsy Rose Lee as well. I love burlesque. It just adds like this fantasy flair to performance. And so can you tell, because I've never been to Portland.
Yes.
A lot of people listening probably are not familiar with what the like club scene is there. So can you tell us what's going on?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, Portland has the most strip clubs per capita in the whole United States. So that's an interesting thing. We have so many strip clubs up here. So probably almost anywhere you go, you're going to meet a stripper. Secondly, we're one of the only states in the country that allows full nudity in strip clubs, whether we have alcohol or not. So I mean, it's very sexually liberated up here. It's very open. And I think because nudity is open and because sexuality is so open up here, strip clubs become this thing where, like I said, anyone goes because it's not really looked at as a faux pas. It's not something that only, it's not something only, old, 50-year-old guys bring their friends out, or, the bros going out for a bachelor or bachelorette party or whatever will go to. It's literally like, you'll go out with your boyfriend and they'll bring their random guy friends and you'll run into a couple of your girlfriends. So that's how the culture is up here, which is super awesome. And then we have our strip clubs and we have like more of our show clubs. And the show clubs are all about, costuming and, really matching things with your songs, matching your costumes, putting a whole persona on. I almost think of some of our show clubs as being more like the Australian style pole dancing. You know how when you see Miss Pole Dance America or Dance Filthy or, Miss Pole Theater or whatnot, they have the full-on productions going on. Yeah. It's kind of crazy to go into some of these strip clubs in Portland and literally, like, these girls have their full-on costumes, their sparkles and glitter and Swarovskis, and they're putting on a show, and people literally go to watch the show. It's not just about getting a lap dance up in Portland. So I think for pole dancers in Portland, it's a really cool thing because you can come and you can dance and you can learn what you're doing and you can perform. And whether you want to do it in the super club style or if you want to do it in a really performance style, you're going to get it either way. And you're going to be able to like really showcase who you are,
Oh, yeah. It reminds me of, is it called Crazy Horse in Paris? Because that's like so freaking dreamy, like.
Yes.
So.
No, by all means, we have our like hole in the wall strip clubs. Yes.
Old man clubs.
Yeah. Full gamut, full disclosure.
Okay. So you hinted before that you have a pole studio. And so can you tell us, first of all, I love the name, Kiska.
It's actually Kiska.
Kiska. Okay.
Everyone says it like that, no problem.
Well, now they know different from listening to this. It's Kiska. What's Kiska mean?
So our pole studio is a focus on Russian exotic pole dance. So we decided to find a name that suited the Russian exotic style as well as suiting what we're all about within the pole industry and within our studio as a whole. So Kiska actually has three meanings. First meaning is pure. We created an environment where it's a pure, white, clean, open space for any dancer to come in and train 24 hours a day. They can just come in, train, wear what they want to wear, do what they want to do. They pick studio rental time, and they just come into the studio and they can train. So a lot of our industry girls who want to come in, they come in at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They bring their girls in, they train, they work. As long as you are a advanced level dancer, intermediate level dancer, we can give you that access to the studio. So the pure space is to invite you to come in, no matter if you're a contemporary dancer or a industry girl or a club style dancer, exotic, whatever, and dance. The second meaning is kitten or kitty. And, that kind of speaks to our fun, flirty, sassy side of pole. I feel like that's a reason why a lot of people have gotten into pole dance is that whole idea of, just bringing out a little bit of your sexuality and your sensuality and, that fun, flirty sassiness that you get when you go with your friends and you go to the pole studio and you build that pole camaraderie. It's a little bit safe. It's a little bit, it's just that fun, safe, sassy, burlesque style. And, also the idea of how we move in pole. How we move in pole is so cat-like and so, slinky and sexy. So the kitten side really speaks to that. And then our main meaning for Kiska, as probably half of you who have already heard of us know, Kiska means pussy. Straightforward. It means pussy. So we come from Portland. We are unabashedly sexy. We are 100% open to the idea that pole dancing came from stripping and strip clubs. So I feel like as a whole, we feel like if we lose that in the pole dance community, we're kind of losing the authenticity of what pole truly, truly is. We also have found that a lot of studios are really segregated between the stripper industry and the hobbyists. And we want to create a space where, our kittens or our purists are coming to pole and do their thing. And our industry girls or our girls who just want to be fucking sexy, want to dance in pasties and a G-string can come in and not feel shunned and not feel like they cannot be a part of it. So Kiska means pussy. We're open about that. We are proud of it. It's funny when we meet certain Russians because obviously Russians know that Kiska means pussy. And they'll kind of be like, so, like, Kiska, like, you mean like pussy? And we're like, yeah, of course. Like, it's a pole studio. That's what we do. So we're really proud of it. We're really about feminism. We're also very, very, very much about being open to gay, straight, trans, men, women. We have a lot of straight men that come to the studio. We have a lot of, gay women that come to the studio. We have boyfriends that come with their girlfriends and they want to do partner shit. Like, we literally just have the whole gamut. And I think it's really awesome to see that because, I feel like we know a lot of people in the trans community that don't have a place to pull. We know a lot of strippers that don't have a place to pull. We know a lot of guys that don't have a place to pull. We have male strip clubs here. And when I say male strip clubs, there's a specific strip club called Stag. And it's the first strip club in Portland that actually has a pole and gymnastics rings and pull-up bars, and men dance there and they fully pole dance. So for us to create a studio where like anyone can come. It's also created a studio where I think a lot of our girls have been nervous about having guys come in, especially the industry girls, because they'll be like, I don't want to come and have guys watching me dance. But when they come in, they realize that the guys are more embarrassed than the women are. And everyone's just helping each other out. And everyone's feeling kind of funny and awkward at first. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't even matter because we're all dancing and we're all training and we're all having a great time. And honestly, our straight men that come in look at these girls and go, oh my God, I never knew what athletes these women are. When I go to the clubs now, I look at them 100% different, because, guys, I mean, they think they know what they're doing. They get up on the pole, they try to do a flag or they try to do an Iron X, and suddenly they realize that it's way harder than they ever thought, So yeah.
Wow. So you've never really had any bad experiences with the men, because is what I'm always nervous about. Like, oh, I don't want them to be like, this is like my girl sexy space. And so I think a lot of people assume that the way to integrate men into pole is to have these like high athletic, more gym-like studios, and you're proving otherwise, which is super interesting.
So we have quite a few guys. Our straight guys that came in, I think, first started coming in because their gay guy friends invited them in. And they wanted, other guys to come into the studio and to come dance. And I will say that when we first started inviting guys to the studio, I think all the girls thought they were all gay. They thought they were all gay. They thought they were all, like friends or partners, or the boys who lived with each other and were roommates. They thought automatically they were a couple. And slowly but surely, everyone started thinking, oh, well, maybe they're straight and they're dancing at the straight club or the gay clubs,
Yeah.
And then it became this thing where it was just literally these boys coming in, finding pole, loving it, not thinking they would take it seriously, and then absolutely being 100% invested in it. So it's really interesting because, like you said, you think you have to make it really highly athletic, but actually what I found is by having our club be so, or our pole studio be so open and so overtly sexual, actually, it's created this space where everyone respects each other, everyone respects nudity, everyone respects sexuality. Guys aren't looking at women in the sexual way because they realize that the sexiness of pole is us like exposing ourselves and who we are, not dancing for them to make them feel like they're getting turned on and erotic or whatnot. And actually, we have a couple boys that have been leaving the studio to move to other states, and they've addressed to us that they feel like they can't find something that they feel comfortable going to, because one of our guys, Clayton, he actually just moved to Chicago, and he said that he's had a hard time because a lot of them don't allow boys to dance. And he said that the thing that he is the most sad about is that there's studios out there that are trying to take away women's sexuality and have the sport be so fitness-based. And I think for him to be at a studio where he sees the openness of women being able to be who they are, not be afraid to be sexy or sexual or strippers or industry girls, is something that he's so come to value that he has a hard time going to another studio that doesn't like pride that in women and pride that in just the culture as a whole. So yeah, I think, but I think I also realized that because of the strip club industry in Portland, nudity in Portland, like sex shows are legal in Portland. You can watch people have sex on stage. It's 100% legal.
Really?
Yes. As long as you're not participating, you can watch it. And as long as it's all like approved by each person, you can
licensed watch it. And yeah.
Yeah. So I think that in Portland, because everything's so open, things don't feel so like, oh my God, that's so scary, or oh, that's so sexual. It's too sexual for me, or it's too open or too provocative. It just becomes this thing, kind of like in European culture where it's natural and it's normal. So everyone respects it as natural and normal, you know?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
That's interesting. And like, let's keep it real. It's not like, you know, sporty bro, like, you know, kind of jerk guys are just going to show up to class to like heckle, you know? And like, I feel like that's what, when people assume like we can't have men because they're just going to be there oogling and they're like, you know, drinking beers and crushing cans on their heads. And like obviously like you wouldn't, that's not going to happen. You're not going to allow someone who is like unsafe or who, you know, is not there to fully participate and respect the other students, whether that's a girl or a boy. So it's kind of like, that's super interesting because it's been something that I've never really been open to until this very moment talking to you. So I'm sure a lot of people are like, I mean, Portland, it sounds like this little microcosm of like experimentation that will have to slowly expand elsewhere.
Exactly. So on that, we really are very specific about who we do allow to dance.
Okay.
Obviously, we are open to anyone, 100% anyone. But the specifics are, if you are not here to fully participate, if you're not here to dance, if you are specifically only here to watch, we will not let you participate in class, and you can wait outside the studio. Because at the end of the day, whether you're a girl, whether you're a guy, whether you're gay, straight, whatever, if you're coming to the studio just to watch, I mean, the reality of it is in our culture these days, we have 100% sexual openness. And so why are we so unopen to a man dancing at the studio, but we're okay with any woman dancing at the studio, but any woman could be looking at you sexually as well. So really, I mean, our guys that come in, when we first started, we were very specific. We're like, okay, you have to be participating, no watching and oogling, and if you're not participating, you'll be asked to leave the studio. So, I mean, our guys that come in, bless their little hearts, I mean, have to say, they're in there, they're learning to twerk, they're learning to body roll, they're dancing on the pole, they're dancing around the pole. I mean, most of our intro level classes start with, you know, dancing and, you know, climbing and spins. So it's not like they're doing the badass fit pole tricks, you know, right off the bat. So, I mean, if you're coming in and you're dancing and you're coming to dance, you will be 100% welcome at the studio. So there's no ogling, there's no guys that are, you know, or girls for that matter, that are just sitting there to come watch. If you're coming with your spouse or you're coming with your partner or you're coming with your lover, well, participate, and that's amazing. And how cool for it to be that, you know, one of our guys, he came in and he's a photographer, and he came into the studio because he was going to film his girl and do some photo shoots and stuff. And then he started opening up and being like, you know, this is what my girl loves to do. And so I want to learn to pole, and I want to be able to be a part of the industry with her. And then he starts elaborating on wanting to do, you know, partner stuff and all the ideas of different partner, you know, costuming and stuff they could do and the themes for their partner stuff. And it's been really rad to see them come in together and train together and learn to pole together to create this. I mean, I think of what's his name? Tarzan, Exo Tarzan, or what's his name in the pole industry? Tarzan and Oh My Marie. Cannot think of the names right now.
I have no idea.
They dance in New York at a club in New York, and they're all over Instagram. I follow them for a long time, but it's really cool to watch.
We will find out and put it in the show notes. So
perfect, thank you. Yeah, I'll send you their Instagrams. But it's really awesome watching them dance together because, you know, I don't know if he's gay or straight or if they're lovers or whatnot. It doesn't matter. But on a pole performance level, they'll do these moves where, you know, he's upside down and he's grabbing her and he's pulling her up. She's in a straddle. It looks like he's eating her out, honestly. And it looks so sexy and so masculine mixed with this feminineness. And to see that in the pole industry is like this idea of you don't have to be gay to pole dance. You don't have to be a straight girl to pole dance. You can have these couples that come together and create this beautiful, amazing, like sexy, strong, awesome pole dance like routines and stuff. And I think that's one of the cool things that we have because we're so open to couples coming in and whoever wants to come in is that we're creating these like partnering of people that we probably would never put together, and they're creating such different pole moves and such different I don't know, excitement in the pole world. I don't know.
Yeah, no, different types of dances and different types of like not just choreo but tricks and doubles and all of that maybe like necessitates more of like a male base and more of like a female. We had Lindsay Light Franza on a few weeks ago, and she's married to Carlos Franza, who is like
so cute.
Yeah, so I mean it is like a changing paradigm where a woman can meet a straight man through pole. You just don't know, but that's interesting that there's probably like a more level of respect there from both sides. And not everyone wants to pole dance with a partner. That's fine, but like it's an option.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because my husband, he helped build the studio and stuff. And he came in one time with my business partner's husband, and they decided to come to open pole and just, fuck around on the poles. And oh my God, the next day, my husband was like, I don't know if I'm gonna go back again. We'll see. And then he tried to go to the gym, and he was like, I can't even go to the gym today. My muscles are so sore. My arms are so sore. Like, that is the best workout I've ever gotten. So now, he comes and he joins, the boys open pole. We don't have like a boys open pole, but we definitely will tell our guys that we have specific classes or open poles where more guys will show up. Okay. Because like I said to you, sometimes the boys are the ones that need other boys around more than the girls needing other girls around, I mean, it's so open for girls to do pole. It's so open for girls to dance and feel sexy that for a guy to be able to come in and feel open to be sexy or sexual or on a pole and dance is something that they actually need the camaraderie of men to do that with, Yeah. So we've started a new hashtag, bro pole, hashtag bro pole.
Okay.
Yes. And it's bro polers doing awesome things, awesome shit. I mean, it's kind of awesome. It's awesome to see that we have so many male polers in the industry now that like bro pole or male polers can be an Instagram tag that we actually can like see various polers all around the world doing amazing, amazing shit. I mean, I will say male polers blow my mind. The things that they can do straight off the bat is, it's something worth being a little bit envious of as a woman, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's also something that like as the pole community evolves and gets larger, it's like, let's stop fighting this shit. Like, and I kind of love your open-mindedness and your more fluidity with things, because I think on one side there's studios that have to be really rigid and they have to have all of these rules, and maybe that's just how they're run and people really respond to that, and that's awesome that they exist. But then it's awesome that a studio like yours, which I'm not so familiar with, that has a more like fluid, organic setup, that you are giving people opportunity that maybe would have never ever pulled to give it a chance. And it just seems like the attitude that you put out there, you're just going to draw people with that similar attitude, so it's like more harmonious, and I mean, there are more pole dancers, let's keep it real, like it's growing, so like how do we support that but in like a good way that benefits everyone?
Yeah. I mean, I will say, so our other thing that we're so big about, I know when we're talking about the male pole dancers, but you're going to go on our other side, is that we are a studio that is so open to have industry dancers come into the studio. Now, when we talk about Portland, our industry girls are not just girls who dance in lingerie in a club. Our industry girls are girls who are getting fully naked, dancing on stage. Our industry girls are girls who are girls who want to or wish or love to perform, love to be burlesque dancers, love to get on stage. Like, they're women who love to dance. They're women that love to get naked. They're women that love to be sexual. And they're proud, confident, amazing human beings. Now, it's sad to see that these women who are proud and confident and started the industry are the ones that are typically, not in all areas, but not allowed to participate in certain competitions, not allowed to come to certain studios. I mean, I know dancers that have told me that they've gone to dance at specific studios all over the country. And, girls will look at them in their high heels, and girls will look at them just with, whatever they bring to class. And, you can tell. I mean, typically you can tell a hobbyist dancer from a stripper. Most often strippers or industry girls are more open with like wearing a little bit less and have their high heels that have been like worn to the ground because they're dancing on them every day, They're not necessarily going to come to class all costumed up because they're costuming up every night. So these girls will go to studios and say, it's kind of weird because I'll go in and some of the girls will go this way and then they'll kind of shove me to these two poles, and people don't really want to dance around strippers. And That's a really odd thing to me because that feels like segregation back in,
Yeah, it's
back in the day.
Yeah, it's definitely not cool. And I just read this article, actually. I'm going to post it on my Facebook page, but from Bad Kitty, someone had written an article about how there was, actually, I didn't even realize this, there was a not a stripper hashtag going around in the pole dance community not too long ago. And that, Bad Kitty was one of the people who stood up and really fought it and was like, that's not fucking cool. Like, you're not a stripper, but to create a hashtag out of that to suggest that that's shameful or something, like when you are a pole dancer, when it's like so tied to the community, it's kind of like you may not be one, but you don't need to disrespect other ones, that people who are. So kind of goes hand in hand. That's what that just reminded me of.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the strippers and industry girls that come into our studio talk about that, actually. And I mean, I loved the fact that, Bad Kitty was getting on top of that and being like, you know what? No, yes, a stripper. Like, you can be a stripper or you cannot be a stripper. It shouldn't really matter. But at the end of the day, what I tell all my clients is that the whole not a stripper idea needs to be, I think I saw a meme recently that said, if you don't want to be associated with strippers, then don't do what strippers do. And it's true.
I love that.
I mean, if you don't want to be associated with, Jackie Chan, then don't go and do, don't go do Kung Fu. If you don't want to be associated with strippers, well, you chose to pole dance for a reason. Pole dancing came from the industry. And at the end of the day, anyone who knows you pole dance is going to associate with that. It's just the way it is. I mean, I've danced my entire life. I've danced since I was, 5. And I remember when I was 21, 22, and I'd go out and people would ask me what I do, and I told them I was a dancer. And being in Portland, obviously, any guy who knew that I was a dancer would be like, oh, do you strip? Do you strip? And I almost felt at that time, I used to be like, but I'm not a stripper. I'm just like a dancer. Like I ballet and jazz and hip hop and whatnot. But then I got to this point where I kind of stopped saying that because I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm a dancer just like anyone else is a dancer. And it shouldn't matter if I am or not. And if you are going to think that I'm a stripper because of it and judge me differently, whether you judge me that you think I should be shunned or you judge me because now suddenly you think I'm so much sexier because I'm a stripper, well, that's on you. You don't even know me. So get to know me and then get to know what I do. So nowadays, it's kind of funny because the whole dynamics have switched. So that now I meet people and I tell them I'm a dancer and they're like, oh, like a stripper? And I'm like, well, basically I pole dance. So, I mean, it's funny to go from like kind of feeling a little weird about that back in the day to feeling so embraced and open about it and just kind of like not really caring what people think about you because what you do is your choice,
Yeah. And so for you to be a business owner that supports strippers, and like the positive view of strippers is cool. So you are like in like a vital role of the industry, even if you're not stripping, because you act as like a support. So.
And we go out, we support all of our industry girls. I mean, they have competitions, they have shows just like the normal hobbyist pole industry. And we go out and support them all. One of our girls got second runner-up in Miss Pole Erotica here in Portland. One of our girls got first place in the vagina pageant here in Portland. It's all pole dance related. It just happens to have, vagina attached onto it or erotic attached onto it. Or, there was just Miss Metal Oregon last night, which was a pole competition with, metal music. And it's really cool to be able to go out and support our girls and throw down tips for our girls and just show our support to that side of the industry. Because, I mean, as a studio owner, we don't have to just be in the studio. I think really if we're outside of the studio, that's where more of the support is coming. And really also more where we can show that the industry as a whole is one big industry. And it's not about being a studio versus a strip club. Like, we're all doing the same freaking thing.
And you don't just have to align yourself to competitions. You can align yourselves to other activities that are pole-centric.
And the thing is, too, is like we have a lot of girls who are dancers here in Portland. And, they're winning, Miss Burlesque Oregon. They're winning, Miss Exotic Oregon, Miss Nude Oregon. They're going off to other places and winning these amazing competitions. A lot of them are, spokeswomen for different, like Spearmint Rhino and stuff like that. They're winning these competitions. And it's so interesting that in our industry, tend to find that, we focus on, Miss PSO or, Pole Sport Organization or, Miss Pole Dance America and all these like really rigid competitions. And I think that what we see here, because there's so many competitions, is kind of what I also see in Russia, actually, is that if you look at a lot of these pro polars in Russia and a lot of the competitions that they a lot of their competitions are like what's going on here, where it's a random competition in a strip club or a random competition, at a bar. And these are competitions that, even Olga Koda or Eva Bembo or Julia Shakulia or whatever are going to have on their list of things that they've won because they value them just like they value the international pole competition. And, they're all competitions. It's just like we don't have to have this really these are our judges and this is who makes you win or lose. I mean, it's all dancers dancing. And
and we had Allison Sipes on, and, she talked about how difficult it was, the realities of throwing these competitions where a lot of the venues just wouldn't allow her to have her Florida competition if they showed some butt. Like, they had to have these, so a lot of, the serious sports pole competitions, it's the, it's the venues that are putting up a fight and things like that. But if you're having, and now to reference another past guest, Kitty Ballore, she's in London and they're putting on shows at strip clubs or at, private event spaces that are allowing it. So again, it's like we need everything. We need everything. And so, we're not disparaging, the sporty competitions or, the higher level competitions, but it's just so rad to know that there are just smaller little competitions that are local that people are killing it at, and you can get involved in. And take a look at Portland. If you live in another city and you don't have it, well, start it.
Exactly, definitely. Well, and I mean, that's something so interesting coming from Portland because we're so open with sex and sexuality. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Sometimes when I go other places, I forget that we're that open about it. So when we were in Nashville for Miss Pole Dance America, it was really interesting because choreographing the routine for that, it was you can't have any nudity and you can't even have any sort of grinding on each other on the dance floor. You can't have, any gyrating. You can't touch your body because if you touch your body in Nashville, it's deemed too sexual and they might have closed the competition down.
Yeah, that's people don't realize the how some people's hands are bound. I don't think Alethea gives a shit if you touch on yourself or if you grind on someone.
Exactly.
So it's not her, but it's there are these these laws or these rules that are crazy.
I know, and that's it. It's just that's the crazy thing I didn't realize. I love the exotic side of pole, and I love the sensual side of pole. And I think my biggest frustration for a while was that a lot of the competitions didn't really allow that. For a while there. I feel like people are getting a little more open to that again, but when I started realizing that it was more regional or more specific areas, places, and the reasons why, it makes you understand it more than just being God, why? For instance, if you were to look at Alethea and Miss Pole America, somebody could easily be geez, why won't Alethea let more go down? But it's not Alethea, it's the community, and it's Nashville, and it's the mayor or the governor or whatever telling you what you can't do. I mean, you can't really go past that. I mean, I guess the only way to go around that is if you want to have really exotic, erotic competitions and have them be really out there, you've got to go to Portland or, Louisiana or somewhere where you can be more overtly sexual. New York allows toplessness, so New York might be a little more open to something like that too. But it's just it's finding places for these competitions instead of just completely negating them completely. But like you said, also having areas for the other competitions too. I mean, we have to showcase all sides of the pole industry, and I think that's what's so cool about pole dancing these days is, I guess at our studio, when I have girls come in who are full fitness-based dancers, and they'll come to the studio to take a Russian exotic class, and, I require at least 7-inch high heels because you need them to do Russian the way that you do Russian, and the way you move around on the floor and the way you move through the moves, you need the 7-inch heels. You need knee pads because these girls' knees are going to die without knee pads on. And then you usually need some certain areas of grip. And these girls that come in from other studios who are very fitness or contemporary based, the style of pole is so different. And so when you come in and you start doing the Russian exotic or the more erotic stuff with the heels, all of a sudden you realize oh, that's not just sexy. That's taking pole to a whole different level. Because to do, these things with heels on and to lift the heels that are so heavy and to move around on the floor and land gracefully on your high heels takes pole to a whole different place. Just like doing some of these moves that require having the bottom of your foot touching the pole, because if you don't have that, you cannot do these moves. we're seeing that, you know, every style is so awesome and so unique in its own right, and that you can't say that one is better than the other or one is more athletic than the other. It's just that they're different, just like ballet or jazz or hip hop or tap or whatnot. Like, nothing's better. It's just they're all different, and that's what's amazing about it.
And as the more we have more available in all different styles, that's the more, you know, then everyone can participate, because then everyone can find their niche.
Exactly.
So how did you like come into, because you, as you said, your studio is a Russian style pole. Like, for those who maybe aren't as familiar, what is Russian style pole, and how did you come into like this specific topic for your studio?
So like I said before, I've danced my whole life. I've done ballet, I've done hip hop, I've done jazz. I love movement. I love like fluidity. That's what I love about dance. When I found pole, I was really excited to find pole. And I think the biggest frustration I have with pole is that really pole, when you take it down to like just pole and acrobatic pole, and what we typically see in more PSO and stuff like that, it's a little more acrobatic pole, which is climbing a spinning pole and getting into a pose and holding that pose and then switching to another pose and then switching to another pose, which I didn't realize would feel more gymnasticsy and feel more acrobatic to me. And I love pole. I love how strong I was getting with pole. I loved all the things I was learning. But I think what I didn't love about pole pretty early on in was that I didn't feel like the danciness was there, and I love to dance. So I was kind of on YouTube going through, you know, different videos and stuff, and of course I discovered Miss Amazing Queen of Pole, Olga Kota. And let me say, like, that girl, Olga, props to you. You are a babe, let me say.
She's the gateway drug to Russian pole, I swear.
She truly is. So I saw she was putting some kind of taster little videos out for her master classes, and it was crazy to see all these girls in their leggings and their knee pads and, you know, crop tops and short sleeve shirts and, you know, their high heels and pulling in things that, you know, you would never pull in, because, you know, you can't stick to the pole when you have leggings on. You can't stick to the pole when your armpit is covered, you know, when you don't have your pit grip and stuff. But the movements they were doing and she was doing felt so hip-hoppy and so like jazz-based, and I could see the ballet influence and stuff, and I realized that that's what I wanted to do. And so as a dancer, I can break down a lot of things, and I sat there trying to break down her videos, and Russian exotic pole is hard, let me tell you. If you haven't done it, it's almost impossible to break down the videos, because they're moving around the pole in ways that like you are not taught to move around a pole. And I mean, kudos to them. They came up with this shit. Like, it's what they do. I mean, Olga Kota said recently that she was at a dance school and her teacher came in and gave them a pole and said, learn to master this pole, figure out what to do with it. And so they just had to figure out what to do with the pole. I mean, that's how they designed Russian exotic pole. So anyways, so I started kind of working on Russian exotic and trying to do it and getting really frustrated that, you know, it wasn't the style I was doing. And so around that time was, also, there's this amazing pole video that she also posted. It's all floor work. She's wearing these awesome Pleaser Moon gold heels with the cutouts, and she's in her leggings and she's on the floor in her bedroom. I think like there's cats around and stuff, you know. Oh,
she always has cats in her videos. I love it.
That's another thing with the whole kitten thing with Kiska. With the whole idea of Kiska means kitty, and I forget this because a lot of times I'm talking to non-polars, but if you're a polar, you realize that like polars love cats. Polars are cat women. Polar are cat people. So the whole idea of Kiska means kitty. Somewhere. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So side note, but like, that's dude, funny. Polars love their cats. So anyways, she was doing all this amazing floor work stuff, balancing on her hands and, you know, having her legs out, and just the way that she was moving and manipulating, I was just like, that is what I want to do. So that's been my goal for a long time.
Do you have that video? Can you share it so we can put it in the notes so we can go?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to put that in the notes.
I was already going to send you that as part of my blog video, because that's like one of my favorite. I mean, I know it's not even pole, but it's one of my favorite pole videos. Yeah. So inspiring. So after seeing those, I realized that like the studios at a great studio, but very contemporary based, very acrobatic based, which was not what I was wanting to go down. So I switched to another studio in town that was more exotic pole, but exotic pole as in club style, you know, like very stripper style, industry style, still a lot of like basic pulling, but just with a lot more floor work. So I really started defining my floor work style and learning that, oh, wow, I have splits and leg game, and all that leg work I did in ballet for years really comes in handy in pole floor work. So I loved that, loved it so much. And then, then I was sitting at my hair salon getting my hair done one day, and all of a sudden I saw that Olga Koda was coming to the United States for her first classes in the US. And Olga Koda and Eva Bembo are my two biggest idols in pole. They're the two girls that I saw what they started doing. I started following all their videos, and that's what I've kind of modeled my own style after. So of course I was already planning on going to Russia, and then Olga Koda was coming to the States, so I immediately just told my husband, I said, Olga Koda's coming in a month. I can't miss it. I'm going to LA. I'm going to go take her classes. So I went down there and went to Pole Show LA. It was an amazing experience. Going to the shows were amazing. Dancing in these classes. At this time, I'd probably only been polling for a little over a year.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah. And I will say, I was not as strong as I wish I was, but I am a great dancer, and I'm really great at faking it till I make it, if you know what I'm saying. So I went to these classes. I signed up for all 4 of her classes, and at the time I didn't realize who I was polling with. Later on I kind of realized that I signed up for all these advanced classes, and it was Carly Hunter and Natasha Wang and Sergio Louise, and all these girls are dancing around me, and I'm a year into pole, and I'm just trying to hold my own. I'm I just have to keep up with these girls. I just have to make it look like I know what I'm doing and keep up. And well, obviously Carly Hunter and Jetta Jordan and Natasha Wang have their pole tricks and their strength that I know I didn't have at the time. I have my dance background, and that Russian exotic stuff, the second I started doing it, it just clicked for me. It totally clicked. I totally had it. I got it. I understood it. And so I took all 4 of her classes, and I was the only person to take all 4 of her classes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard you die after one of her classes. How
Yes.
did you take all 4?
Oh my God. So first of all, let me just say, and I'm sure you've heard this before, Olga Koda's warm-up is a 30-minute intense, it's
boot camp
and boot camp and CrossFit and ballet all into one. You do this warm-up, and at the end of it, you're how am I even supposed to move my body after this, So I remember I turned to my friend Krista, and I was just girl, I can't believe I signed up for all 4 of the classes. I'm going to do it, but how? I don't even know how I'm going to do it. So did the first class, killed me, but I held my own in the choreo, held my own enough to where I really felt I stood out, and I was one of the last groups of girls to go because we were all getting the choreo and stuff. Then I went home and I slathered my body with icy hot and iced my legs so I'd be ready to go. And I had 2 classes the next day, and I remember specifically taking the second class, and after class, I didn't know who she was, but Carly Hunter came up to me, and she was like, oh my God, girl, you're so amazing. I can't believe you're taking another one of her classes. I took 2 of her classes, and I can't take any more. And I was like, yeah, I know. I can't believe I'm taking these classes either. But I also knew that if I didn't take these classes, the next thing to do would be to go to Russia, which is a way more expensive, way more out of the way trip. So I kept on going. I took all 4 of her classes, and I have to say, I had bruises covering my entire body. I think I had bruises on my face. I had bruises on my chest, on my knees, on my arms. It was covered. But somehow, when you love what you do and you love to dance, and you push yourself through it. And I pushed myself through all 4 of them, and absolutely love that babe. Olga Koda is just, she has ways of moving and ways of utilizing the pole and her body that I just think nobody else kind of had realized at that time. So I will say, lucky after that, I feel I understood the style of polling more. So
it's a weekend intensive.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel I went to Russia and trained wholeheartedly with her. So it was rad.
Have you taken with any other Russian pole dancers?
Well, I took with Olga Koda again last year, which she was back in Pole Show LA again. So I obviously went down and took both her classes, which was awesome because, I just feel it's really rad when you meet these people that are your pole idols and your pole mentors, and you click with them and you get to know them. And, it's really awesome because, we follow each other now, and it's rad to
she knows who you are now.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Well, that was awesome when I came back this last year. She definitely was oh my God, it's so great to see you again. I'm so happy to have you in my classes. I mean, in her 26 words of English.
I was going to say, did she really say that? Or was that like through an interpreter? Or like
that one was through an interpreter. But I mean, she can say things. I mean, the first time I met her, I had probably like a 30-minute conversation with her. And I mean, if you know people and you know how to conversate, you can talk through like language barriers.
The
obviously.
International language of pool.
Exactly. So otherwise, I mean, I took with her this last year. I mean, my goal would be, I would love to go to Russia for like 4 weeks and go to like St. Petersburg for 2 weeks, go to Moscow for like 2 weeks and fully train. But I did in November, Eva Bembo was down at Sedusa Studios in San Jose. Yeah. So once again, found out kind of about that last minute. And so just booked a trip. I booked a 24-hour trip. So went down to San Jose with Krista.
Yeah, Krista is the co-owner of Kiska. Yes, it's a co-owned studio.
So and Krista, I mean, I'll get back on that, but how me and Krista met.
Yeah.
Basically, me and Krista, we were dancing at our home studio together, and we were always partnered up on poles together because we're both really tall. I mean, she's like probably 7 feet tall with her heels on. And I'm naturally 5'10". With my heels on, I'm probably like 6'3" or 6'4". But we were always paired up together. And I had a bunch of other best friends at our pole studio. But when I was going to Olga Koda, the first Olga Koda classes, I was looking for someone to come and take class with. And everyone else was busy or had just come back from really long trips and couldn't afford to go to the classes. And finally, like last minute, I was like, I don't really know if you'd want to go, but maybe you'd want to go to LA with me and go take some, pole dance classes. One of her idols was Sergi Louise. So, of course, once she knew that Sergi Louise was teaching, she was like, hell yeah, I'll go. So we kind of like went. We didn't really know each other that well. We just knew each other from pole class. And the minute that we came to like the pole show LA together, we just clicked. We hit it off. I mean, we both found out we're both half Polish. Both of our dads are from New Jersey. Both of us are Pisces. Both of us are twins. Both of our twins are very similar to each other. We have very similar family upbringings. It's just like, we are like the same people. We're like the twins that should have been the twins, Like we were just matched up together.
Oh my, I'm a twin too, so let's just become triplets together.
Yeah, let's do it. It's so funny because I feel like I know a lot of twins in the industry, and I feel like there's always one girl who pole dances and one that's just like not into it.
My twin's a boy, so he's not interested.
Okay, the interesting thing is Krista's twin's a boy, and he comes to our studio all the time.
Because it's Kiska.
So anyways, down in Pole Show LA was when we met Angela Edwards. If you guys don't know Angela Edwards, she is the owner of Pole Artiste down in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. She owns one of the first 2 pole dance studios in basically the country. So we met her at the Coda classes and then sat next to her at Pole Show LA, and she started talking to us about if we were ever interested in opening up a studio, and that she does pole consulting and she would love to chat with us about it. And, it was kind of one of those things where we were like, well, yeah, one day we'll think about opening a studio. And then like we talked to her, we came back home, and that was in January. And by April, we were looking at getting our own studio space. So thank you, Angela. You've been an amazing part of our of Kiska. So anyways, just needed to give you guys that little backstory.
No, I was going to ask, and because you both have other jobs, like you also have a salon and, okay. Yeah,
I own a hair salon. That's where I am right now.
Yeah.
So I'm in my hair salon, Zabique Style House. I've owned this for 3 years, and, it's been really cool opening up a business with my husband. I've done hair for 12 years. Okay. And I think after opening up this, it felt way less intimidating to open up a pole studio because, I mean, we learned how to do everything with inventory and coworkers and training people, training stylists, like you train your, dancers over at the pole studio and stuff. So I feel like everything I've done here is basically just crosses over to over there, just in a whole different way. So
yeah. And you got that fear, the first business fear out of the way. So.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, that's so cool. Sorry, go on.
Just so fast, you did ask me if I've taken from any other pole dancers. So I did take from Eva Bembo. Eva Bembo was down at Sedusa Studios.
Does she speak any English, or she's kind of a little bit English, or not really?
I will say I think that Eva Bembo speaks less English than Olga does. Okay. But, I mean, similar.
Okay.
So it was
I'm
cool
always
too
curious
because,
about that, just logistics. Like, how does this work?
yeah. And I mean, when you're teaching classes, I mean, you're going over the movement. So it really doesn't matter if you can't speak or not. And I will say, actually, I find that you learn more when you're taking class from somebody that doesn't speak your language because the whole time you're fully focused on dancing. Whereas I think when we take from like people who are also American polars, we all get so excited to talk and to over-explain tricks and stuff that you end up talking half the time and not dancing as much. Whereas like when I took from either of them, Olga or Eva Bembo, I mean, you have to very intensely watch what they're doing, and they're explaining what they're doing by doing it and by talking in Russian about what they're doing, but you have to watch it and then do it, and then watch it and then do it. So you're training a lot more, you're dancing a lot longer, you're dancing a lot harder. By the end of the class, you're way more worn out because there's just less downtime, you know? And I mean, God, they're so good at spotting, they're so good at teaching. It's amazing to see that you can teach that well, having that language barrier, you know?
Yeah, that's a good quality in a teacher. You have to have like that additional skill.
I will say Eva Bembo's workout warm-up, nothing like Olga's.
Okay.
I was totally prepared to like fully go in and like train like Coda, and I was like, oh, this is so nice. It's like a real dance warm-up, which is just like normal, you know?
Oh, good. Yeah.
But I got to go out to lunch with her, which was super awesome.
Cool.
Like we went out with Carol and Eva and me and Krista. I was gonna say Chicolette, but that's her name on Instagram.
I'm gonna put both yours and Krista, who's at Chicolette, on Instagram, social media in the notes, so people can like get to know you guys a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just that's the other thing is I know anyone who's taken classes from another polar or met any pro polars out there. I mean, I feel like you think that there is this like huge divide, and you think that there's like, you know, the pros and then the dancers and that's it. But I mean, the industry as a whole, as much as, you know, we have some animosity between, you know, fitness style and exotic style and, you know, real pole and, you know, just exotic pole or whatnot, anything. At the end of the day, there's not really that big of a divide. I mean, when we went to Miss Pole Dance America, I mean, we met Stephen Brechless, and Stephen Brechless, such a rad guy. I love you, man. But I mean, it's cool to see that the industry as a whole just wants to bring you in and wants to just like have everyone be a part of it together and just learn and teach and inspire. And I think that's what's so cool about the pole industry is that at the end of the day, I haven't met anyone yet that's so high-headed about themselves that they can't just take it down and humble themselves to just be an awesome rad motivator for the rest of the industry, you know?
Yeah, we're all just people. I mean, and I heard something this morning, and it was like nothing pole related, but I was like, this totally applies to pole, and it applies to what you were just saying, where they said if we would, instead of stop focusing on our differences and just start focusing on our similarities, like we could achieve world peace, man. So it's like
so true.
I mean, let's be
So
real.
true.
We're all still pole dancers. Let's focus on that. Let's focus on like what makes us similar and that kind of, you know, be empathetic to other people's differences and
exactly
how we handle that.
Well, and I mean, you talk to any pole dancer, and everyone's gone through the not being strong enough to do something, or wishing that they could be a little further ahead than they are, or looking at their friend who has their full splits and their Allegra, and then looking at the other person who has their Iron X that's like super strong and laid back. And, you know, all of us have our similarities, all of us have our differences, all of us have our strengths and our weaknesses. My first pole teacher, she told us that pole is made up of 5 different elements: fear, strength, coordination, pain tolerance, and flexibility.
I was just gonna say, maybe
and
flexibility?
Flexibility. And so at the end of the day, like, everyone has their different strengths. And I know my friend Christina Zlobina on Instagram, she's one of our teachers at the studio. We actually started at the same time, and that girl is an Olympic-style weightlifter. That girl is an industry dancer. That girl is strong as fuck. And I remember when we started, I could not do a pull-up, and she could do, like, basically an Iron X, you know? And, you know, I could sit there and be jealous of her and be like, oh my God, Christina, I just want to be where you are. But she would look at me with my ballet background and see my flexibility and my grace on the floor and my leg work. And she could have looked at me and been jealous. But instead, we were able to see each other's differences. And the fact that our similarity was that we were working so hard towards these other aspects of pole. And at the end of the day, when you realize that those are like, that we can relate on our struggles, and we can relate that each person has their own struggles and that each person has their own strengths, it makes pole way more desirable and way more this thing that has amazing camaraderie, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to come in as a ballet dancer or an Olympic style weightlifter. You can come in as somebody who wants to lose 40 pounds and has never done anything physical ever. And you might not be afraid of heights, and you might have great pain tolerance, and you might be getting things way before someone who has, you know, their background. So it's true. Very like all inclusive, and I love that.
Do it long enough, you find your thing.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's transition into the questions that we ask everyone. I feel like maybe you answered this, but I'm going to still give you a chance. Who is your pole crush? Is it Coda and Bembo?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to say two, it would definitely be Coda and Bembo. I mean, those two girls have just like created what is my pole style. Yeah. I mean, Coda is for sure my biggest pole crush. I mean, I found her first, and I was inspired by her first, and just her style and her essence. And I mean, yeah, it's Olga Coda.
And
she's
what's the nickname she gave you?
So when I went to Pole Chalet for the first time, you know, you have all your outfits picked out, and you're going to have your pole wear and whatnot. And so I would show up to class, and actually I was really bummed because the first class, my black shoes with the clear heels broke, like the ankle strap broke, so I couldn't dance in those. And luckily I brought an extra pair of heels. Well, the extra pair of heels I brought were my solid white heels. And so, of course, when you're wearing solid white heels, you can't really pair them together with a bunch of color or whatever. So I started wearing white to like the classes, and I have my white hair and my white heels, and I'm super tall, and I got my white outfits on. And Olga Coda ended up nicknaming me the White Princess because of my all white and my like.
I love that. Yeah. I think that's cute.
And I mean, she used it for me a couple times that weekend, which really solidified the White Princess like nickname. So that's why on Instagram I'm Lauren Lukrich, but my nickname is the White Princess. So I love it. I mean, when Beyonce gives you a nickname, you take a nickname. I feel like Olga Coda is my Beyonce. So Olga, thank you for the White Princess. I will forever be the White Princess.
Yeah, you were like knighted by her.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. I remember Krista turned to me and she was like, oh my God, she just called you the White Princess. And I mean, at this time, now she knows more English, but at that time, I swear, I think she knew like 26 words. So for her to use some of those 26 words to call me the White Princess felt like it was like, that was my name. That's me now.
I like it. Go with it.
Yeah.
And so how would you like to see the pole community evolve over the next 5 years?
I mean, I think for me, I would love to see there be a little less separation, kind of like we've talked about. Mm-hmm. I like the all-inclusiveness that we're starting to build, and also the idea of respecting everybody's pole style. You know, I mean, I could sit here and, you know, try to diss on, you know, contemporary style because it's not my style, but there's no point to diss on that because it's amazing. And just like I don't want someone to diss on the Russian exotic style because it is just as valid and just as hard and just as difficult. So I think being open to everyone's styles, being open to have anybody that wants to be in the industry be in the industry is the biggest thing, honestly. And I think, you know, pole competitions are great. But I think for myself, I want to compete more, but I would also love to just do more performances. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's really maybe rad to maybe start seeing us go in that direction where it doesn't just have to be pole competitions, but where like Leanne Riley is putting on her pole shows, where it can just be also shows and just showcasing what people can do. And it doesn't have to have a competition behind it, you know?
Yeah, so many people are bringing that up. So I feel like if it's like in your head, like I want to put on a show, like it seems like there's a big calling for it right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, to complement the competitions. And I think a lot of people after they do competitions, they're like, maybe I don't want to train for that again, but I still want to be on stage. So it's not like it's lower caliber dancers or anything like that. It's just people who are looking for variety.
And I mean, being that I've danced my whole life, I've done competitions and I've done just performances. And For dancers in general, there's a different aspect that comes from just dancing and showcasing what you do and the beauty of what you do versus having the stress of competition and the stress of being judged. I mean,
and some people love that. Like we had Lindsay Lyth on, and she, you know, when we talk with Lindsay, she like wants to do the competitions and she loves that physical challenge and she wants it to be more, you know, the strict like gymnastics, you know, that the expectations, and like that's so cool. But we have those, so like that's awesome.
Yeah, having both sides of it is so rad. You know, watching the Olympics this year, you know, watching the gymnasts doing what they're doing, and you know, it's cool to see the strictness of that, but then also to step back and realize that, you know, ballet is not a, you know, Olympic sport, and it's because for a lot of the danciness, it's more fluid and it's more artful and it's less strict and it's
hard
less
to
like
standardized.
Exactly. So I think it's cool that we're having a little bit of both in the industry. I think it's really important that we have the competitions for people who want that. We have the showcases for people who want that. And then we have some place where you can fall kind of in the middle. That's where I think, you know, Miss Pole Dance America is such a great thing, because you go and you do this amazing performance. And if you win, that's great. But at the end of the day, just being on that stage and performing is so exciting, you know, and that should be such an honor in and of itself, you know.
Yeah, I forgot you did Miss Pole Dance America. Did you do it as a? You did one of the group routines.
We did a group routine at the first Miss Pole Dance America. There was, I think, 7 of us, mostly women, and then one man, Josh, and he did an amazing job. So it was really exciting. It was an interesting thing to take pole and turn it into like a group activity, because obviously so often it's, you know, doubles or just single, and you know, really difficult and great. You know what I'm saying? Like doing that choreography and trying to figure out who's going to be on the poles at what time, doing what tricks, and who can do what tricks together. And that they need to get down on the floor to get with, you know, Josh so that he can do a trick with them. And that's probably the difficult side of meshing together a group piece, and also working with, you know, adults who have their own lives and their own jobs and, you know, their own schedules and stuff. I mean, there was a lot put into that. But, you know, I just feel so grateful that we were able to be in that competition, and we're able to just showcase what we're doing and showcase what we're doing here in Portland with such amazing dancers. I mean, the dancers that were on my team with me, so amazing and so talented. And, you know, the dancers we were able to dance on stage with, so amazing and talented. I mean, God, mind-blowing to be on stage with some of those people that you look at and you just think like, oh my God, if only. And then you're up there with Pink Puma and, you know, Bryn Rout, and they're just on stage with you just like everyone else. And that's when you just realize how like awesome the industry is and just how inclusive the industry is. And yeah, that was an amazing experience. Alethea put on a great show, and I'm just excited to see more of that type of thing coming out of the industry, you know?
Totally agree. And so we're going to put all of your social media and everything into the show notes, but is there anything else you want to share with the audience?
Let's see. Well, I mean, obviously check out Kiska. Yeah. We have a lot of, I mean, we're really trying to connect with the industry as a whole with Kiska. We don't want to just be, you know, a Portland studio, but we really want to expand into really being supportive of the industry out there. I mean, I know we would love to, you know, really start helping to sponsor different events and be, you know, a part of the industry in that way, as well as, you know, we really want to be a studio that can help showcase America, Russian exotic style, and what that's all about, and kind of hopefully, you know, bring out some amazing pole dancers to teach workshops, as well as, you know, train our girls to be the new up and coming American Russian style exotic pole dancers that can bring that to the industry here in the States. You know, I think that's just such an awesome opportunity. So
yeah, I swear so many people on this show, when it's like, who's your pole crush? Like, I would say at least on half of these episodes, people will bring up at some point, like, how much they love the Russian style pole. And so I just feel like, oh my God, that was so smart that she decided, you know, you and Krista decided to start a studio and really focus on that. You could be like, guys, if you want, this sounds to me like, if you're really into that, like, take a trip to Portland and like do it on a weekend of like Miss Erotic pole competition in town. And like, you guys should start doing like, you know, workshop weekends where people can come and then you can like go take them to all the strip clubs, because I would go to that. Like,
That would be
I've
awesome.
never been to Portland, so I'm just throwing that out there. I want a reason to come to Portland, and I'm going to come to Kiska now that I've heard about how exciting all this stuff's going on there, and it would be so fun to check out some of these clubs now that you've talked about them.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually another really cool thing about Russian style polling is, when I met Eva Bembo, she was actually, talking about coming to America and staying in America for like a year. And she was asking, are there strip clubs around? Like, are there strip clubs? Because I want to dance at a strip club. And, Russian culture is very open to sex and sexuality. It's not a closed off thing. Like I said, a lot of their competitions are at strip clubs, and a lot of these girls have danced at strip clubs or do dance at strip clubs, even the pro pollers out there. So I think it's really awesome to be somewhere where, if we were to bring Eva Bembo out here, she could come out here and she could teach, and then she could also go and maybe compete in one of these competitions, or, showcase her work in, the industry out here, in the pole, in the strip clubs out here and stuff. So I don't know. I just think that what we have here is so open-minded to the Russian exotic style and just to the Russians in general and what they're about, that I think it would be really cool to eventually have we would love to have our studio be a hub and a home base for people, like you said, wanting to do the Russian exotic style, to be able to come up and train with Russians, to be able to train with us, to be able to train with our core teachers, and take workshops and stuff up here too.
Sounds like a fun town.
Yeah, right? Definitely.
Cool. Okay, so before I take up I've taken up a lot of your time, but before I let you go, thank you. And can you leave us with an empowering message or quote or lyrics or anything to sign off with?
Yeah, okay, two things. I was kind of thinking about what I was going to leave you guys with, and I wasn't really sure what to leave you with. And so the first thing I'm just going to leave you with is how I really feel like I would love this to be my inspiration is just remember, just don't ever give up on your goals. Don't ever stop being inspired. Do not be afraid to fail, okay? This is your life. This is your path. This is your journey. If you don't take hold of it and you don't do what you want to do and you don't, live it out the way you want to live it out, you're not going to attain the things you want to attain. And, that comes from me opening up a salon, opening up a pole studio, competing, performing, pole dancing, anything. I own what I do, and I do what I do because it's what I love. And I know that if I didn't do it, I would regret it,
Yeah.
The other thing I'm going to leave you with, just because this is kind of my motto in life, I remember a couple years ago, I was talking to one of my guy friends, and he was contemplating things, and I was just like, you know what? Go do it, because why not be awesome? Just go be awesome. You have a choice in life to just be and just to do things, or you have a choice to, go be a fucking badass. So go be a badass, go be awesome, there's what I'm gonna leave you with, okay?
I love it, yeah, because who would ever thought, there's no manual or, someone to, replicate, opening a Russian exotic studio in Portland, Oregon. Who even knew that was, a thing? But you made it a thing because that's what you liked, so you you walk the walk.
And also one other thing, just, you can cut this in wherever, but, with the idea of where we want pole dancing to go is, I think that pole is kind of like skateboarding used to be. Skateboarding was this one thing, and then all of a sudden, Tony Hawk comes in and he's doing these, tricks and these crazy, 360, whatever. My husband's a skateboarder, so that's why I get this whole skateboard thing. But what pole is these days is it used to just be pole, and it was exotic pole or pole fitness, and that was it. But now with social networking and with, being able to get on YouTube and get on Instagram and get on, Snapchat, you can see anyone from any place polling the way that they poll, whether it be the Russians or the Australians or people from Singapore or some girl in Michigan dancing in her, bedroom. And I think the coolest thing with pole right now is that we're really defining what pole is and realizing that, like with dance, there's so many different styles to it. And so I think that that's where, you look at skateboarding and there's streetboarding and there's, the ramp stuff and the vert stuff, and one isn't better than the other, they're just different. And so I think that that's where it's really cool to see there is a specific Russian exotic style. There is a specific Australian showgirl style. There is a specific club style, a specific fitness style. Now there is, that specific contemporary style. And instead of fighting for what we want it to be, embracing that every single style has its own place. and that you don't have to be a studio that focuses on everything. Like you don't have a ballet like studio that also is fully focused on hip hop. Usually if you have a ballet studio, it's a ballet studio. So if you want to be about contemporary pole, be about contemporary pole. If you want to be about fit style pole, be about that. And that's another thing that with Kiska, we're so open with. You know, if people come in and they're wanting to do, you know, contemporary style pole, we're going to send them over to one of the main studios in Portland that does that. If they want to learn to be a, you know, just specific exotic dancer, we have, you know, studios for that. We have studios for fit style polling and gymnastic style polling. And so to really cater and like help people in the industry go where they need to go to get fulfilled where they want to get fulfilled is really a lot more exciting than just trying to keep people for yourself, you know?
Because that's where standardization happens, because you're trying to be all inclusive, and at that time it's just watered down.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's why
that's
Kiska,
cool that you're not like being greedy with the gals and guys over there.
And I think that's why Kiska means pussy works so well, because for us, if you want to be sexy, or maybe you don't want to be sexy, but you just want to be around other open-minded people who are not afraid to be that way, you're going to come to our studio. But if you're not into that, if you don't want to hear swear words, if you don't want to hear the song Snapchat Me That Pussy, you're probably not going to come to our studio, and that's fine. And if you don't like it, like, we're not going to change who we are and who our studio is for other people. We're going to create a place for you to come to be a part of this studio, and we're going to tell you where to go for what you're looking for. And that's what the industry should be about, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's a perfect way to sign off, Lauren.
Sweet.
I love it. The White Princess, everyone. Thank you so much for being on the show. It was so fun talking with you. You're so freaking creative and inspiring, and I love how open-minded and supportive you are. So
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Seriously, like I said to you earlier, it's such an honor to be here, and I'm really excited to be able to bring just what we're all about to the pole industry and to be a major part of that. So
yeah, check it out, guys.
Sweet.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Pole Parlour podcast. Want more? Visit poleparlour.com for show notes and to link to the Facebook group where you can connect with other poloholics and continue the conversation. Listen to past episodes and subscribe to new episodes on the website, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. Lots of love, babes. Thanks for listening.